Celebrating 49 years on the air, award-winning Farmweek is a production of Mississippi State University Extension.
Today on Farm Week, after the Ag Secretary's visit to MSU, an encore episode of On the Farm. Speaking of Brooke Rollins, she presents 2 MSU grads with badly needed 6-figure grants. In Southern Gardening, Eddie Smith heard it on the grapevine, well, at least the vine. And back on the farm, we conclude our bookend encore with Kim Klunk fighting an uphill battle. Farm Week starts right now.
Hello everyone, I'm Zach Ashmore.
And I'm Mike Russell. Great to have you with us again here on Farm Week. A couple of weeks ago, Ag Secretary Brooke Rollins visited Mississippi State University, and we reported on that visit. While she was here, she awarded 2 6-figure grants to MSU grads now practicing veterinarians. One of them is Kim Klunk, the subject of this week's encore episode from Season 2 of On the Farm, our Emmy-winning series on stress in agriculture. More about the grant shortly. But in this episode, which we ran recently but decided to run again because of the Secretary's important visit, some background. Kim Klunk's love of animals and loyalty to family propelled her into this kind of work. But in a story that unfortunately isn't unusual for veterinarians, the pressure began to mount.
I grew up on a farm with cows, horses, goats. My family milked the goats growing up. I grew up showing cattle. With my mom being a vet, it's something I've always been around from the time I was really little. I went with her on emergency calls to the clinic late at night. Saw a lot of different things that most kids don't see growing up. My first year of vet school, my little brother passed away in a car accident. A lot of the reason I wanted to do large animal work kind of goes back to my family, and my little brother, he was really involved in large animal stuff. That kind of played a big part of it. I feel like it kind of solidified that I knew I wanted to come back and give back to the community that raised me, and also be there for my parents. Kind of starting out the day, usually get here a little before 8. See what the appointment schedule looks like for the day, kind of the layout of what's going on. Every day is different. You never know what you're going to get into or what's going to come up.
Small animal clinics can see as many as 40 patients a day, and that makes for a long day for them. Large animal vets are actually driving out to farms, checking on the health of a herd, doing immunizations of that herd, or following up on a wide variety of animals on a farm.
How old do you have on her papers? Being kind of a new large animal vet in the area, and being a new vet in general, there is anxiety that comes with it. A lot of it is having to gain experience to know, what to do, what things look like, and how to treat them accordingly. I'll just make this up.
The last health paper.
They're doing a wide variety of services all in one day, and they don't always have access to the fancy equipment that they might have access to in a small animal clinic.
especially being a large animal vet in a rural area. You know, we can't have all the bells and whistles and all the really cool equipment they have out there, just from a financial standpoint. You have to improvise with, you know, different ways of being able to evaluate what's going on. We have to pay the bills to keep the lights on, to pay support staff, to pay ourselves, and also the cost of the medications that go into it. Our little spots look like they've healed up really nice. There's definitely a ripple effect in that, you know, if we aren't able to stay open and provide, you know, it affects the farmers and the people we're trying to work for too. A lot of times cattle operations, there are sicknesses and diseases and stuff that can be preventable, and that's where, you know, a veterinarian's role comes into it, to where they don't lose all of that cost that goes into it, the hard work and time and effort they put into it. And especially in a small rural area where finances are tight.
If something were to influence the health of the herd, now not only are we talking about the health of the animals, but we're talking about the financial health of those families.
You can't spend endless amounts of money treating them and doing what you can for them. So having to kind of work within those means can be difficult, you know, outweighing their value versus the work and money you put into them.
The less hair there is.
So, time, money, and resources being what they are, answers don't come easy, and the pressure multiplies. We'll have the conclusion of Kim's story coming up a little later in the show. But first, more about the grants and some words from Secretary Rollins and MSU's Dr. Kim Klunk and Dr. Rachel McCurdy. Both will receive $125,000 grants for their work in multiple counties. Klunk for new tools for advanced livestock reproductive services, McCurdy for updated diagnostic tools, and for educational outreach.
Because of a significant increase in education debt for our veterinarian students compared to their potential earnings, a decline in student desire to practice in rural areas is real, and a rapidly growing companion animal sector, the lack of rural food animal veterinarians, is only expected to worsen unless we step in. So today, USDA, right here at the Mississippi State Veterinarian Headquarters, is issuing the Rural Veterinary Shortage Action Plan that takes bold action to tackle this challenge. Today we have two of our newest recipients of our Veterinary Services Grant Program right here in Mississippi. I'd love just a few words from each of y'all on what this means to you and how important this is for y'all.
Yes,
Dr. Klunk.
Just so incredibly thankful for this opportunity. This opportunity is going to have a huge impact on not only myself as a rural practitioner, but also the producers and livestock in my community back home. So just so thankful.
Thank you for having me. I can't put into words how much this helps me in my practice. When you graduate vet school, as mentioned earlier, most veterinary students enter the companion animal medicine and surgery, which is great. We need companion animal veterinarians, but there is a huge shortage for large animal veterinarians. In my community, there are so many people that are in great need of large animal veterinarians. And when you graduate with a huge burden of student loans, it makes it very, very challenging to be able to meet that need. So I cannot put into words how much this helps me, my practice, be able to serve my community better. So thank you very much.
Well done. Thank you all.
So congrats to Kim Klunk and Rachel McCurdy. Their grants will come in very handy for their vet work here in Mississippi. Secretary Rollins' visit to MSU was a multi-purpose visit during which she announced her Rural Veterinary Action Plan, a 5-part plan to help reduce a growing shortage of veterinarians, especially in rural areas. And a reminder, we'll have the conclusion of Kim Klunk's encore episode shortly.
In today's Southern Gardening, Eddie Smith showcases the Cypress Vine, part of the Morning Glory family. It flowers in the summer and fall, resembles a fern, and it's both fast-growing and eye-catching. Here's Eddie.
Today on Southern Gardening, we are spotlighting an exotic non-native vine that brings beauty and pollinators to the garden. Cypress vine, with its delicate fern-like foliage, has a soft, airy texture wherever it grows. Each leaf is finely divided into thread-like segments, giving it a soft, feathery appearance, almost like green lace draped over the vine. The leaves are arranged alternately along the slender stems and can measure 2 to 4 inches long, creating a delicate feathery texture that adds a refined and airy quality to any garden space. However, what really steals the show are the vivid star-shaped flowers that bloom throughout the summer. These blooms are typically bright red, although pink and white varieties are out there too, and their tubular shape makes them a magnet for hummingbirds and butterflies. Cypress vine is a fast grower, often reaching 10 to 15 feet in a single season. It climbs by twining, so give it something to grab onto, like a fence, arbor, or trellis. This vine doesn't need much from you. Just full sun, decent drainage, and a little water during dry spells. If you are looking for a fast-growing, eye-catching vine that brings pollinators flocking to your garden, give Cypress Vine a try. I'm Eddie Smith, and I will see you next time on Southern Gardening.
We'll take a break right here, but don't go away. Coming up, we conclude our Ag Stress story on the farm with the story of large animal vet Kim Klunk. She expected a certain amount of stress when she started practicing a few years ago, but long hours, deadlines, and money pressure take a big toll on your mental health. How do you cope, especially when rural areas don't have enough mental health resources? And that's just the tip of the iceberg. On the Farm continues, coming up on Farm Week. Don't go away.
I believe in people and their hopes, their aspirations and their faith, and their right to make their own plans and arrive at their own decisions, and their ability and power to enlarge their lives and plan for the happiness of those they love. I believe that education, of which extension work is an essential part, is basic in stimulating individual initiative, self-determination, and leadership, that these are the keys to democracy, and that people, when given facts they understand, will act not only in their self-interest, but also in the interest of society. Because I believe these things, I am an extension professional.
I believe in people and their hopes, their aspirations, and their faith. I believe in intellectual freedom to search for and present the truth without bias and with courteous tolerance toward the views of others. I believe that education is a lifelong process, and the greatest university is the home. That my success as a teacher is proportional to those qualities of mind and spirit that give me welcome entrance to the homes of the families I serve. Because I believe these things, I am an extension professional.
time for the market report, a turnaround this week.
Yeah, we'll see how long this one lasts, Mike. Also, this month's WASDE report and more. But first, the numbers. What were the week's biggest gains and losses? And then, this month's WASDE report, what did it have to tell us? And finally, more cattle market talk with Dr. Josh Maples. What do prices look like for the rest of the year? So, markets closed on the upswing, all commodities affected save for one. Let's take a look. The week's biggest gain, lumber, up about 51.5 bucks. That's more than a 9.5% increase from the previous week. The week's only loss, live cattle, down 6 cents, more than a 2.5% decrease from the previous week. So this month's WASDE report dropped in, had a good bit to say about current production and stocks both domestically and internationally. In short, things are not looking too bad in row crops, especially wheat, corn, and soybeans. Livestock too showing some positivity. Here's what it had to say. U.S. wheat exports up due to strong sales, especially in hard red winter wheat. Ending stocks down and season average farm price $5.10 per bushel. Global wheat supplies up due to increased production. Consumption also raised mostly on feed and residual use. World trade up by 5 million tons and ending stocks up 4 million tons. U.S. corn beginning stocks projected up due to less use, particularly in ethanol. Production up by 72 million bushels, due mostly to higher acreage at record levels. Season average farm price, $3.90 per bushel. Global corn production forecast down while exports increased, mostly from the U.S. and Zambia. Imports also raised and ending stocks down by about 1 million tons. U.S. rice supplies raised due to higher beginning stocks, imports, and production, up due to higher harvested area. Average all rice yield down 77 pounds per acre. Exports also down 3 million tons. Season average farm price, $13.20 per hundredweight. Global rice supplies up nearly 1 million tons due to stocks offsetting lower production this year. Consumption up slightly and ending stocks up nearly 500,000 tons. U.S. soybean production up slightly due to more acreage but less yield. Crush forecast 15 million bushels higher due to exports. Ending stocks up 10 million bushels. Season average farm price $10 per bushel. Global soybean stocks projected lower along with production and crush. Exports raised mostly on meal exports. Imports also raised for Turkey, Brazil, Egypt, the EU, and Serbia. U.S. pork and beef production down due to less slaughter. Broiler, turkey, and egg production raised as indicated by recent hatchery data. Milk production forecast up based on higher cow inventories and more input per cow. Price forecasts for cheese, butter, and non-fat dry milk are lowered while whey prices unchanged. 2025 all milk price forecast $21.35 per hundredweight. U.S. cotton crop projected slightly higher due to both planted and harvested area. National average yield 861 pounds per acre. Stocks to use ratio at 26%. Season average farm price 64 cents per pound. Global cotton production forecast 1 million bales higher, while consumption also raised 850,000 bales, and trade up as well. Due to these factors, ending stocks are down. In our continuing coverage of the current cattle situation in the U.S., we continue our conversation with Dr. Josh Maples, this time focusing on beef prices and the risk of demand falling at some point next year due to these prices outpacing demand.
Yeah, really high prices, Zach, for cattle and beef, and so as you would probably expect, we've seen imports go up pretty significantly. Really strong beef prices pull in more beef. We've seen that. Exports are down, and so our imports, I think the most recent month, we saw imports up about 18% from where we were a year ago. Exports are down. So I think that has been a trend in 2025. Most of those imports are those lean trimmings. You know, I mentioned that our beef cow slaughter is down, and so we're not processing near as many cull cows. That's really lean beef that we then mix in with the fatty trimmings coming off of our fed steers and heifers. We're not processing as many cull cows because we don't have them, and so we're bringing in a lot of lean trim from other countries to then blend with the fatty trim that we have coming off of our fed cattle. And ground beef demand has been incredible. So it's really strong prices. There's a need for lean trim right now, and that's pulling more imports into the U.S. And then our exports are down because we're just not producing as much as we have been. I don't see them going down anytime soon. The latest projections, we're going to have lower beef production in 2025 than we did in 2024. Looking out into 2026 at this point, we've pretty much already set the stage for an even lower beef production total in 2026. These tight cattle supplies, it takes a couple of years for that to turn into tight beef supplies. We're now realizing that in terms of what we're seeing on beef production totals. So we're looking at higher beef prices most likely for 2025, and even into 2026 we could see even higher prices. And from the producer side, I would suggest that if we don't see higher prices, then that becomes a beef demand question. Because right now we know we've got tighter supplies. Supply is going to be even smaller next year. And so if beef prices come down next year, even though you've got lower supply of it, then that tells us we've had some changes in beef demand. But right now, really strong beef demand, really strong prices. Consumers are seeing these really high beef prices, but so far continuing to move a whole lot of beef even at those higher prices.
And that's it for a deeper look into the markets. Mike?
Thanks, Zach. Now for the conclusion of our On the Farm story. Kim Klunk is a large animal veterinarian facing pressure every day to care for her customers' animals in a demanding and widening rural practice. One of the biggest challenges is that the folks she's serving are more than just customers.
I guess not only are they your customers, but they're your friends and your family members, and it becomes quite entwined into everyday life for all of you. And that in and of itself can have some pretty big emotional components to it.
It can be stressful at times when you know that you're the only person available or one of the only people available in the area. You know, you want to be available all the time, but we have lives too.
You know, it's not uncommon for them to call up instead of saying, "Hi, Dr. So-and-so," it's like, "Hi, sis, you know, my dog just threw up everywhere, what do I do?" And it doesn't matter that you're in the middle of a church service.
That can be stressful to be able to mediate the work-life balance, and when it's one person working for the whole area, you know, it's difficult to be able to see all the emergencies and see, you know, get people in and be able to take care of their animals whenever they need help. Come home at night sometimes and I am exhausted from the day, you know, long hours, and, you know, if it's difficult things going on. There is a degree of exhaustion that goes on there. On the long days where a lot that went on, a lot that went wrong. You have to deal with processing if you did the right thing. And you're driving home at the end of the day and you're like, is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? It's hard, and you have to kind of learn how to manage that mentally and kind of put it in a place where, you know, it doesn't affect you every day. And certainly when you're exhausted, how to keep pushing through and providing the best care you possibly can, even during those times of exhaustion where it feels like you just can't go on anymore.
Just from a mental health perspective, rural areas don't have enough mental health resources that understand the needs of veterinarians. When we start talking about large animal veterinarians, they have completely different needs many times than some of our small animal vets. 1 in 6 veterinarians has considered suicide. 1 in 3 have clinically significant anxiety, depression, and/or depression. And despite knowing the need, less than a third will actually seek help. As large animal vets, they have access to lethal means. And it is on their vehicles and on their trucks, because when they go out to a farm, they need to be prepared to handle whatever comes their way that day. So they do have access. And it's quick and efficient access, and it is deadly.
You go to bed and get back up again the next day and keep trying and try again. You kind of have to reel things back in and go back to the core reasons of why you're doing this and what you're doing it for. And those things are kind of what carry you through. Working with my mom, being back home, it's a really cool thing. So at the end of the day, you kind of dig deeper and find those reasons and evaluate, why you do what you do and for the love of animals and keep going on.
Digging deeper indeed. Meanwhile, the stress takes its toll. Very important, if you or someone you know is in emotional crisis, call or text 988 anytime for confidential free crisis support. Well, next week, another encore story about what many in Mississippi call a natural beauty.
It's the Crosby Arboretum in Picayune, a living memorial showcasing ecosystems across the landscape, an art form all by itself.
Come with us to Picayune. It's a trip you won't soon forget. Yet another example of just how Extension matters. The Crosby Arboretum next time on Farm Week.
Remember, if you missed a story, look for past episodes of Farm Week on our website at farmweek.tv.
And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. See you next week. Thanks for watching.